Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of TinkChat, where I suppose Andy and I talk about things that are happening in the industry and topics that we want to talk about. So today we thought we would dive into integrations of 3D printing into businesses, small and medium-sized enterprises, and even like large enterprises, because there's many ways to do that, right? So yeah, I mean, why don't we just kind of jump right into that? Because this topic is pretty big. It's pretty vast, and there's many ways to do so. But I think what I should probably do and what we should do is just showcase to people what normally people think about 3D printing. Like, what do people normally do?
The train of thought or process upon whether or not you should integrate 3D printing into your business. Is it beneficial or is it not?
Yeah. So typically, I think a lot of people and most business owners, when they think about 3D printing, they think about making the physical end product that they can sell.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good use case, but it's not the only use case.
Yeah.
And that's what we know. Like people make, sorry, I'll be back. People make things like this.
Yeah.
Like this is a design by somebody online, and they designed it, and they, the idea is they give the file away. But business owners think about making things like this and then they sell it. Yeah. And that's it. That's what 3D printing for most people are. Like if you see videos, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean that was the trend. What 3D hubs kind of went on, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a place for this. Like this makes really unique things. Like I have a pair of in-ear monitor headphones that I got.
Yes.
And I mean they're expensive. They're custom fitted, but like that technology utilizes 3D printing to get the form. 3D scanning and 3D printing to get the form. And then they put the carbon fiber and stuff around it. But that is a very customized experience. Right? It's about the end part, but it's not necessarily, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to play with it all day. It's about making choices in the business to see where the best application is for 3D printing. And sometimes that's not always at the end result. Yeah.
I mean, like some companies use it for prototyping. Some companies use it for end result. It depends on, as Eugene said, where 3D printing really integrates into and where it actually gives you the most return. Like we see it in a lot of different industries already right now. Like the bigger industries, let's go from automobile and aerospace. They first started out with prototyping. Yep. And trying out the parts, and then afterwards getting into the traditional manufacturing phase. But then afterwards, after getting into more of understanding technology, knowing how to use it, they actually eliminated that and just produced their own parts.
Yeah, I think part of it is that those industries are so complex and forward-thinking that they needed a technology that can explore additional complex geometries.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we've talked about
cars,
biomimicry, computational kind of regenerative design work. Yeah. Like you can't make a lot of those designs unless you have additive manufacturing technologies.
Yeah.
But they're using it again for end parts. Yeah. But like BMW, for example, I believe it's BMW. They started making parts for their employees on the production line. Not even for going into the cars, but just to make sure that they don't have fatigue in their hands when they're working.
Interesting.
Right? Jigging, like when they're putting those labels on the back of the cars, like, I don't know, Porsche or whatever it is. Like they can make a jig that bolts onto the, well, not bolts, they can align to the car's frame, and then they can then align the thing. Those jigs can be 3D printed super easily.
I mean, we actually use that too.
Yeah, a whole bunch of our jigs are printed.
Every Ditto Pro 3D printer at the back, you see those logos, we use a jig.
Yeah.
It's 3D printed.
Super simple to align things. Then you click it on. I mean, for us, like even just this set, right? The frame that this camera is actually mounted on right now, that camera arm that we built, like that's for the business application. And if we ever decide to scale up our video production, we just make another one.
Yeah. Or we can also sell as an end product.
Right.
So
there's so many different things. But those industries that you mentioned, aerospace, automotive, like also medical too.
Yeah.
Right?
Dental.
Yeah. Those are more about pushing the like pushing the boundaries of
Forefront,
like what the end product can look
Yeah.
like lighter weight,
Yeah.
more complex shapes,
Yeah.
stronger structures. But there are businesses that are literally using 3D printing for services, like customer service, better customer retention, marketing, little trinkets that they can print off and give away, stuff like that.
Yeah, but for most businesses, the integration of 3D printing behind may also be just because of the speed turnaround, manufacturing time. Instead of going to, if I were to get a part, instead of going to Eugene, I can, and which is like a 2-week back and forth, I can get it in a day. There's speed, which is cost efficient. I save time on transport cost, speed of getting speed of getting the part, and also like that also just gives me increases my profit margins a lot more. So those are some of the things that are actually behind the curtains that maybe we don't see if we're not in the business, and that's something to consider when you're thinking about integrating in 3D printing.
Yeah, and I think there's just like, I think we have to, as an industry, kind of move away a little bit from talking about the actual technology itself, and instead talk about the application.
Yeah.
Right. There are so much applications that can be done.
Yes.
With 3D printing, but we all get so hung up on talking about how cool this technology is.
Well, I mean that was the whole part of 3D printing, is I can create something and use it right away, or like in 5 seconds. I mean, when I first started for Tinkerine, like it's first time looking at a 3D printer, first time printing with one and playing with one, like that was literally all I could think of, was to print things.
Yeah.
I never really thought about integrating it into my life.
I mean, I think that's the barrier that we have to, as an industry, get through, is that we continue to sell this idea that 3D printing is only good for end products.
Yes.
And it so often gets lost in the conversation that it is in fact really good for business optimization.
Yes.
Jigs is a good one. Digital, just sending parts from one place to another, is another one. I mean, we saw UPS, UPS looking to get into 3D printing parts for people at different locations instead of shipping around.
I mean, just recently in the previous TinkChat, other businesses think the same. It was 3D hubs and Proto Labs, right?
Yeah.
The whole point of their acquiring was they can do that.
Yep. So more decentralized manufacturing, more localized manufacturing, less logistics. Like Andy, you just mentioned earlier that there's huge savings on that front. So like, absolutely. I think it's phenomenal. So, and then there's a whole bunch of things that come into consideration too.
Yeah.
Right? When you're exploring 3D printing for end use applications, it can be the material of choice.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to, because if things are going into a hot place, it's got to withstand temperatures that can at least exceed the temperature that it's going to go into. But for jigs and molds, all of them have material applications that needs to be considered. And that's what I mean by, I think we need to get further away from talking about technology acquisition, and instead approach 3D printing acquisition from the perspective of application, right? Kind of internally as a business, like we do it here.
Yeah.
We approach it with regards to like, what is the application? And then, oh, this is where 3D printing is best tacked on.
Yeah.
If not, then maybe it's CNC machining, or maybe it's laser cutting, or maybe it's this other thing. But I think a lot of companies actually take it the other way around. They go, we've got this 3D printing. What can we do?
Yeah.
And that's where everything kind of gets stuck.
Yeah. But that's what we usually see, is because then if they don't actually figure out a solution or find what 3D printing is good for, they buy a machine, invest it into it, and then afterwards it sits on the side and no one gets to use it, and no one, then that defeats the whole purpose and kind of stalls the whole business or the industry in general.
Yeah. So I mean, from a company's perspective, acquiring technology is fairly straightforward, especially with desktop hardware getting so much more affordable these days.
Yeah.
The secondary question that comes to the forefront of this is staff.
Staff, yes. Like, training.
Yeah. Who is on the team that can really evaluate the business implications, not just the end products, because every company that wants to get a 3D printer wants to make something that's for the end use.
Yes.
Of course. Otherwise, why bother? But a lot of the times, the having the right staff on the team that can critically think through business improvements
Yeah.
I'm going to call it optimization.
Or just understanding the technology in general.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand the technology, how would you think of a way to optimize your business, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's also like why we operate a little bit differently than everyone else in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of companies go out there and the whole sole purpose is to sell you guys a hardware, piece of print. But we take a different approach to that market. We look at it from the perspective of training first, because if we can empower the companies and the businesses with the skills to evaluate how to properly integrate, then when they decide to purchase a machine, ours or somebody else's, they are best equipped to be successful with it. Because otherwise, I think this industry will eventually just kind of fizzle out. And like no one in the industry wants the technology to just fizzle out. So yeah, like taking a step back for a second though, you know those companies that like those industries you mentioned, so that's aerospace, that's automotive, medical, they're all design centric. I don't know if you realize.
They are.
Aerospace is designing new complex shapes and new ways to save weight.
They want lighter weight, so it's more fuel efficient and lighter weight, but also you want to keep the integrity, like the rigidity of it, right?
If not
or
better.
even stronger.
Yeah, if not better. And so they're like, I can break down like aerospace from a design perspective. They wanted a specific outcome, so they look for technology to do that. Automotive is the same. They wanted a specific outcome. They looked for technology. Medical is the same. Like, and those are the super successful industries that have really adopted 3D printing for themselves. And so, like we, even us, we've seen companies that we deal with that like bought a piece of technology and said, hey, you know what, can we use it for this? And they can. And so we help them along, make sure that they're properly set up for that, and so that they can run at a faster rate. That is the formula for success.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation for us and for the business. Business gets to, I guess, make whatever they want more efficiently, more smoother process, and we get to sell a printer and also help you out.
And they get to accelerate innovation.
Yeah, so it's a great thing.
Yeah. So I think, you know, that, like taking a step back from all that, looking at that perspective, you know, for us, like we have an initiative that we call Production of Things 2.0, and that is really solely built around that. I don't really want to just oversell and overhype that whole entire initiative, but it really is to kind of take that conversation and turn it upside down a little bit. Well, for us, I guess the right side up. And to approach that from the perspective of design-centric approaches, educational training, right, jobs development, and offload the skill sets that we know with regards to all 3D printing technologies, not just FDM-based technologies, but SLA, SLM, any of the technologies out there, so that companies can make their best choices for where their application best fits. And if we can equip them with the right pieces of information, then like 3D printing integration in the business starts to make a lot of sense. But without that piece of information, without that missing link, I think businesses will continue to evaluate technology from a, should we get that piece of hardware? It's really cool. Not so much from the perspective of, hey, we've got this really great idea.
And we can do it. We can achieve that with our technology.
That's right.
With buying that technology.
So yeah, I think there needs to be a fundamental shift. At least I can't foresee the industry changing right now in the short, like there isn't that many entities out there with this train of thought. Majority will say, buy a printer, figure this out. Or they'll say, buy a printer and here's a whole bunch of showcases. But it really should be a step back.
I mean, I guess what we're trying to do is basically offering you come to us and we don't just say, hey, buy a printer. It's more like, what do you want to do with a printer? Like we talk to you, get to know you first. And then afterwards, help you evaluate better whether or not 3D printing is actually the right technology for you, right?
And there is usually a specific use that a company will acquire technology for first. Like once that first application is found, they'll run with it, and then it's about what other optimizations can be had. You know, should it be jig? Should it be about fatigue on the hand? Should it be about using it for super high precision, complex shapes that we can't make today? But so it evolves. It never stays static. Right? And I think that's a good thing. So yeah, I think businesses really do need to evaluate what their application is first.
Yeah.
I think we have seen it so often where a company, picks up a 3D printer,
Yeah.
ours or somebody else's, and then they're super excited
at
for
the start.
first, and then they go onto platforms that you can download models from, the Pikachu models or whatever, and they're like, this is really, really great.
Yeah.
And then the excitement fizzles out.
Well, that's usually, well, for me, like, I didn't know designing. Like, the only thing I could do was to download until where I'm sure you guys have saw our latest video that we just uploaded, where I designed a scooter from scratch. Like, that was the first time. It wasn't easy. Like, I ran into so many bumps and I had to iterate so many times, but it was in the end, seeing my end product it was a different experience.
Yeah. I mean, we also paired you up with one of our designers. You could at least pull some of the information out.
Yeah.
Though we gave you no CAD support. And that, okay, so that's the thing too, is like staff training and skills requirement. A lot of people think 3D printing. Great, I have an idea. Okay, now
how do
what?
we do it? Yeah.
Right? What's the process? What's the skills requirement? What kind of professionals do you need to bring onto the team if you don't have them on the team already? Or do we outsource that? Do we outsource the design work with a partner? Like, what is the right fit? Because not every company is fit to bring on a team of designers, bring on a whole bunch of payroll, and then you do one project and it goes away. Right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff to evaluate.
Yeah. So for example, actually Eugene reminded me the example was, whether or not you should outsource it or not is something that you should also consider. There was this company by the name of Chanhua Health. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but essentially they outsourced and partnered with a 3D printing company to print like a brain to help their students study like the brain. And then afterwards, they were so impressed by the 3D printing technology and all the things that you could do. Like almost at the same day, they bought the hardware and afterwards just dipped into designing. And now they're actually designing a lot more things other than 3D printing the brain to help people study. They're also printing these complementary aids to help people, and also like these games that are 3D printed that will help the brain out.
Right.
And that just it just opened up so many more possibilities, so many doors.
So I think it's little, I'm going to call it stories.
Yeah.
Examples like that, where they came in with an application, printing the brain, and then it just went everywhere.
Yeah.
The idea that you have a piece of technology that can help you achieve pretty much all of your design ideas, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like we haven't, traditional manufacturing, subtractive manufacturing, injection molding, form molding technology requires so much investment.
Yeah.
Tools, bits, machinery, that the barrier to enter is a lot higher.
Yes.
Whereas 3D printing is about the design process, the application, and then it's about pressing a button and walking away.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, give me that technology when I was 12.
Yeah.
And who knows where I'd be today.
Yeah.
So, is it probable that companies and people and professionals looking to evaluate adoption of this technology can change their angle and come from this perspective? I think so, but it requires a different type of dialogue.
Yeah.
Not a dialogue of buy a machine,
what do we
figure it out later.
Yeah.
We'll eventually run out of customers with regards to that. But
and we'll also be having a lot of unhappy customers as well.
That's right.
Like, I bought the hardware, but then now it's sitting collecting dust.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is having this conversation.
Approach.
Yeah, having this conversation with industry, if industry is looking to solve its market growth concerns, having this perspective into a design-centric approach is fundamentally quite different.
Yeah.
So for anyone in the industry watching, or anyone that stumbles upon this video watching, and if it's intriguing, definitely approach it that way.
Yeah.
And professionals, businesses, individuals, institutions, schools pick up the technology for a reason. And we know schools already pick up the technology for a reason. They want to educate students.
Yeah.
Super simple application. Super simple, super hard to deliver.
Yeah.
And same goes for businesses. As long as the angle is from that perspective, I think the success rate goes way up.
Yeah.
Than just a conversation of how much does the printer cost?
Yeah.
What is the cost to run the printer? Should be about application first. So I think we can sum this video up. I mean, that really is the essence of integrating a 3D printing tech into a business.
Yeah.
Right? It's everything we listed. So
well, if we just sum it up first, you have to evaluate.
Definitely evaluate.
Then find out if it's probable. And afterwards, I guess you carry on with your decision.
Yeah. Which technology platform?
Yeah.
Which material? And then execute.
Yeah.
Having the right people, having the right team, having the right skills.
Yeah.
Off to the races. The technology part, it's funny. It comes last.
Yeah.
It's not first.
It's not first. But right now, a lot of people think of it as first. It's like, I'm going to invest $5,000 into a 3D printer. Then what? They never thought about, is there anyone that can use it at the office, or is it going to be benefit?
You know what it is though? This problem that came up with regards to buy the technology first and then figure out what to do is because the costs have come down so much. If you think about the larger format printers, the industrial size printers, they're like $70,000 plus, like all the way to $1 million. Companies don't spend that kind of money until they have an application for it. And so this problem that this industry is facing now is because the technology has come down so much in price.
That is actually very true. There was another article, I don't remember where I read about it, but there was another article about this company that actually bought a 3D printer first and for a certain application, and then afterwards fiddling around with it, they found out that they had another application that they can use with the same printer.
Right.
So then it just opened another door.
Yeah.
But at first it was just, I bought it for that application, that single application, and they never thought about using it for anything else.
Right.
But then as their staff got trained and everything, they looked into more possibilities like, I can actually do this. And it just opened a different path for a business.
One thing we know for sure is this. As your team members' efficacy with regards to the technology increases, design, CAD, just general evaluation of the technology, usually that leads to more ways to integrate the technology into other aspects of the business. So that's across the board from every company that we've ever seen. And also, that's also the case with every school that we've ever seen. So training seems to be, for us at least, a key major component, core component to whether or not this technology can be successfully integrated into business. So,
true.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it.
Yeah.
This video is mostly about that. I hope you guys enjoy the content of this video. We really wanted to put this video out because I think it just helps
you
evaluate whether or not this is the right time. And if it's helpful, great. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you guys are doing with the technology. And if it's not, then I guess leave a comment too. We read every single one of them.
Yeah, we do. So let's wrap it up. Remember to subscribe. Button down here, somewhere here. And then also press the bell button as well, right next to the subscribe button, so that every time we release an episode, that you get a notification for that. This episode will also be on Anchor and Spotify. So if you don't have time to watch a YouTube video, you can just listen to us chat away. I think what we covered today was pretty important for any business to think about. So I hope you guys take something away from our chats.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Yeah. We'll see you
next time.
time.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Bye.